Hi everyone, welcome to JXG Spotlight. I'm Gamika De Silva, your host. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please do so by clicking the subscribe button below and also leave a comment, leave a like to encourage us and share your thoughts. And thank you for the encouragement thus far. Today we are moving into another exciting episode under JXG Spotlight. The person sitting in front of me wears multiple hats and has multiple disciplines, but at the core, he's a marketer, he's a salesperson, and a business leader. He represents one of our flagship brands, Janashakthi Insurance, under the Janashakthi Group. Ravi Liyanage, Director CEO of Janashakthi Insurance. Ravi, welcome to JXC Spotlight, and the spotlight is on you.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me. And it has been a long time that I would rather participate here. For various reasons, I couldn't. My apologies for that first. Let's move on.
Perfectly fine, Ravi. And glad to have you. And one introduction I couldn't actually make is Ravi is a person who has made an impact on my career early in my career with regard to marketing and some of the tricks of the trade I learned from Ravi. So we will move into marketing in the latter part of our conversation. Let's jump into the topic of insurance because you represent the industry. You have years of experience both in life, general, and overall insurance industry in multiple organizations. If my statistics are correct, Ravi, insurance industry, especially in the life side of it, in the industry has been existent for over 75, 80 years. And our current market penetration, if my statistics are correct, we are about 12% or 10 to 12%. In your opinion, as an experienced business leader in the insurance industry, the 10% or 12% penetration is very low. Why it is so?
Yes, let me give some statistics from my perspective. It depends on penetration, depends on how you describe the penetration. If you look at my description of penetration is from the population we are about good between 15 to 20%, because why I give a big range is that there can be a difference in statistics depending on the source.
Okay.
However, from workforce, we have about 50% penetration. But the challenge is, be it 15-20% of the population or be it from 50% of the working force, the question that we should ask ourselves is, have we penetrated effectively? So my concept of effective penetration is our population effectively penetrated in terms of their protection, exact need that they should protect themselves. So that's the question that somebody should answer. Though statistically you have those numbers, it might not be very correct definition. That's about number of lives covered and so forth. But the real definition internationally adopting is, because your life covered and workforce population and all that depends on the level of economic development in the country.
Okay.
If you look at my definition is more scientific definition or more lifelike definition can be what kind of penetration that you have with regard to your GDP.
Okay, as opposed to GDP.
Opposed to GDP.
Okay.
So that's the measure that would tell you the density of penetration.
Right.
Maybe we can discuss it further.
Absolutely. So I think, it's a very important fact that you mentioned GDP coming into the perspective, because I feel the economy has a great an impact in terms of how your affordability, your understanding of the insurance market. So Ravi, if you further drill on to that, I think Sri Lanka over the years we have seen the cost of living has been increasing, and even on the priority levels, people maybe like unless it is mandatory that you need to get into insurance like a motor insurance, you hardly consider about your insurance, maybe your house, your life, your loved ones, etc. What are the common barriers and how do you see we are overcoming that as an industry?
Yeah, so to answer that, I will also start saying that I would rather broad base the discussion as insurance rather than life insurance.
Only,
I just gave a perspective life insurance. The world, if you want to compare, so our question is every time when I participate a forum or a panel or a discussion, what comes for discussion is we have penetrated lower compared to our counterparts in neighbors, India, South Asia or Asia. So I would rather look at describing or segmenting the entire world into four economic
Clusters?
level of
Yeah,
development.
okay.
You can call it clusters. So one is lower economy or low income economy.
Okay.
Second one is lower middle economy. Next one is upper middle economy, and the higher income group.
Okay.
So if you look at higher income group, the life and general put together, the higher economy group, meaning those who are having per capita income about 14,000 plus US dollars.
Okay.
So when you have an economy where 14,000 plus US dollar economy per capita income, so that is called high income group. Naturally, the penetration is very high. Penetration is to GDP is about 6 to 12%.
Okay.
That's a higher level.
Right.
So if you look at lower level, which is about per capita income, countries with per capita income less than $1,100,
Okay.
the penetration with both life and general put together is about, shall I say, 1%, 1.2%, less than 1.2%.
Okay.
So in between, upper middle, lower middle if you take, the income group is about average per capita income about 4,400.
Right.
So that would have less than 3%.
Okay.
So upper income group, not the highest, the next level,
upper middle, yeah.
tier if you take, the penetration would be about 3 to 5%. So that is how I have seen the distribution of insurance.
Okay.
So therefore, it's not a hypothesis. This is about empirical data.
Yeah.
If you look at empirical data, it is evident, therefore, degree of penetration of insurance is correlated well with the per capita income.
Yeah.
So I'm saying if one may call it that we are lower penetrated because our penetration is 1.1%,
Yeah.
both life and general put together, where life shares about 0.6%.
Okay.
And general is the rest. So I would call we are not an outlier or we are not far behind.
Okay.
We are there. In terms of the world economic data, we are there because it's correlated with the per capita income.
Sure.
But I am saying Sri Lanka is entering into a lower middle, entering into a upper middle with maybe about 4,500, close to 5,000 GDP, per capita income, and that is where we will enter into 2% plus regime.
Okay.
So I would rather say we are in line with world economic landscape in terms of penetration.
Okay. Okay.
So this is how I look at it.
Very interesting, yeah.
Yeah. Also, if you look at from a general insurance perspective, in the whole world, general insurance penetration is lower in a given country or a region compared to life insurance.
Yeah. Okay.
So life insurance has more potential to grow as a result.
Right.
And even in Sri Lanka, the growth engine would be life insurance rather than general insurance. Yeah.
So Ravi, I'm just slightly digressing into the consumer side, and you explained it very well from the GDP point of view and the insurance point of view. Now, consumer side, if you look at it, I have seen, especially on the life side, David, life insurance is something which is sold, that we have seen evidently. Now, how do you see the knowledge factor? I mean, leave life insurance aside, even if you look at general insurance, motor or health insurance that you get as a part of your employment benefit, other than that, people hardly think of protecting your assets or your life, so etc. Does it have an impact on your awareness and education, or what's your perspective?
Yes. Now, if you look at the highest penetrated market, higher income groups, that is, shall I say, when I say higher income markets, like where the per capita penetration is more than about 6%, these markets are developed in the sense that development has taken place from both the knowledge perspective as well as from the awareness perspective. And also those markets, governments are having very structured, the regulators, the government policies, all of that have very structured development process for insurance. Now, example, the awareness factors are there. There are well articulated and enforced regulatory and economic policies to support insurance. And then there are, shall I say, social security systems linked to insurance and linked to your protection needs. So those are the level of sophistication that you can see in the high income group and developed markets.
So the infrastructure itself supports
The infrastructure itself supports, the economy itself supports, the regulation itself supports, the political framework itself supports that. And I'm very confident Sri Lanka is also moving to that direction, and there are a lot of discussions happening in the regulator and other insurance companies put together. There are a lot of things happening even in this country, and we can be happy about it.
Absolutely. So moving on the similar line, now it's a general perception in the market when an insurance agent meet you, you hardly can't get away from him. He'll be after you until you sign up your policy. So people see this sometimes negatively. But of course, I have seen on some of the developed countries also, the level of education, the sophistication of the insurance agents have gone up. The techniques they use is very different. Where do you see Sri Lanka at right now, or do you have any thoughts on the future of that in
Yes.
being a sales front
Yes,
of it?
I think Sri Lankan agent or the guy who is selling life insurance at, shall I say, on the road level, talking and visiting house to officers to wherever, I would say you have large majority of agents are now developed because we have industry-wide deliberations, industry-wide regulation. Agent is insurance agent or who's selling insurance now is equipped with a structured process, going through a structured process, and he technically has like a license to sell.
Okay.
So those structuring, those influences have been far greater than it used to be, and our insurance sales force is getting day by day sophisticated. Of course, we have room to improve. I am confident that the level of evolution of the sales per se or salesperson per se in the country from last 5 years to today is completely different and few notches up. And we are also at university level lobbying to universities as an industry group to attract talent from universities to the industry so that that sophistication can bring in both academic and discipline level of sophistication to sales force and the profession. So I think for the last 5 to 10 years or last 5 years, the efforts have been much greater, and we see now the results would rather see now as well as within next 5 years. And we are very confident as an industry, we are getting into more sophisticated selling and more sophisticated skills, and also looking at customers' needs and selling. And I would say we have much more room to improve, but we are on the course and we are well on course to reach that endeavor.
Absolutely. It's encouraging to hear, Ravi. Now I'm going into the consumer side of it. I mean, I'd like to bust this myth, or, in terms of the understanding, this is something we speak within the industry. The level of understanding, I mean, of course, life insurance for a general person or a layman is complicated, right? And also there's very little thinking that you give in terms of the benefit. I know that you cannot fulfill in terms of your loss, but there's some compensation coming in, even if your house is burned down or under floods or something like that, or you lose a loved one, there's burden on the family. So now this is something the public doesn't know. So I'm giving you an opportunity as for a sales pitch also. What is the consumer missing here? I mean, what do they don't understand?
See, life insurance has many aspects. The life insurance company or life insurers, what we do for living is we make sure children continue education if the father or mother doesn't come home. People's lifestyle is not getting adjusted, even if an unforeseen situation happens. Retirees are live in peace, and people have money for long-term care and old age, irrespective of, shall I say, looking at help from their children. This industry put together is a very noble profession. But unfortunately, that nobleism is understood if you really look at what we do in the insurance. All insurance put together, we pay colossal amount of claims. And also from general insurance side, if you look at, we make sure lifestyles are not adjusted. Even in a worse calamity or worse disaster happening in all around the world or in the country. Now I saw, but don't quote me, I saw somewhere in a document our losses is about this time, the recent one is about $2.9 billion. Again, I'm saying, don't quote me, I just...
I think there are discussions about the overall, they are estimating 6 billion overall infrastructure.
This is about 2.9 billion is about, I guess, for personal belongingness and that kind of thing. Maybe infrastructure all put together, it's much more larger. So in a situation like this, insurance is not there to make a profit out of it. Sometimes consumers would have a misconception or misconceptualization is that I have an insurance, I must make profit out of it. Insurance concept works on indemnification. I indemnify your losses.
Okay.
I'm trying to bring into near status of your life before the event.
Okay.
So if you look at in current context, just imagine if you do not have motor insurance in your vehicle and you're going to lose a major asset that you have. And those losses not only to you, and in motor industry, if you look at, I'm taking motor industry because it's a very common, easy thing to relate to. And majority of motor vehicles are, shall I say, either on lease or on loan. And then the insurance, finance companies or the banks are getting affected. So the cycle, if you look at, is multiple stakeholders are being affected. So this is the beauty of insurance. So that insurance companies will come and indemnify the entire ecosystem of this kind of calamity or this kind of disaster. So insurance companies, therefore, if you ask me, that's what I started saying, and it's a noble profession because we will come and intervene not to adjust your lifestyle, at least to continue your lifestyle, maybe very close to the level that you used to live. So that's the...
A very interesting take on that, Ravi. Ravi, I remember listening to you at about a year back in an insurance summit. You spoke about now the lifestyles are evolving, needs are being changed, social media, digital coming into picture. Has the insurance industry understood in terms of the need-based selling, or is the concept need to be changed? I think you had an interesting theory that you presented as well. Would you like to share that thought with us?
Yes, I think you're referring to the recent presentation or paper I presented to Insurance Industry Forum. That was very specific in terms of the consumer trend, and also in consumer trend, looking at how the evolving consumer. So my paper was at that time limited to how the evolving consumer, how the role of consumer is changing. So, and there are many research by PwC, Kantar, and all of that about the discussion that took place was the Gen Z and the evolving Gen Zs. So where the research as well as the shall I say empirical evidence we saw and discussed was there's a major trend in Gen Zs about ethical consumption. And ethical consumption is all about shall I say they're looking at sustainability. Sustainability of the planet, and in a larger sense, sustainability of the planet, the environment, society, the social aspect, and so forth. And I guess this is the kind of thinking that we have now ESG being developed for reporting. So how a corporate entity, how a responsible person or a corporate entity report to ESG.
Yeah.
So that's about that particular theme would have also been evolved with the pressure bringing by the young consumer who is going to be your real consumer in maybe 5 to 15 years time, because that's your market.
Absolutely.
For most of the insurance companies and also most of the companies, because they'll mature with more higher potential of purchase.
Absolutely.
So there is that discussion was about ethical consumption and the Gen Zs and the evolving market trends.
Okay.
So I would say there is a major correlation between the Gen Zs and the concept of ethical consumption. So I will make it shorter because that itself is a wide discussion and another huge discussion area.
Fantastic. I'm interested to hear that the industry is also looking at how the evolution happens and how the consumer lifestyles can be brought into thinking. Just to finish this segment on insurance, do you see that you mentioned about policy, government, as well as on the regulatory side, there are a lot of things happening. Are you happy with what is there right now? As a experienced leader on the industry, how do you see the policy supporting the industry, and what would you like to see the policy being evolved into?
I must say I'm happy with the current developments taking place in the regulation, the policy making and that kind of thing. However, there are more opportunities to, shall I say, look at in broader terms. Now, example, Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, if you look at the 25 to 30% Sri Lankans are still below poverty level. When I say the global poverty level definition is about $2.15 income for a day.
Yeah.
And in LKR terms, if somebody is making less than 16,000 rupees, you are at below poverty level. So the below poverty level, there's a major challenge. How do you penetrate insurance? And they are the most segment affected, and they are the most segment who needs insurance. Because even if that 16,000 or 20,000 does not come home, the problem is much more greater compared to somebody who has some assets and the savings and so forth.
Yeah, there's a safety net somehow.
Yeah, so there's a safety being engraved in some form or the other. So how do you go there? How do you reach there? And those are daily wage earners. The selling insurance is going to be very tough. So this is where the government as well as the industry come together, should look at with a small ticket size, can I protect them?
Yeah.
So there are challenges on protecting them, daily wage earners. Their frequency of payment has to also be daily.
Yeah.
So daily collection is going to be expensive. So how do you innovate? How do you innovate a model to cover those well-deserved segment in the market who is less than 16,000 rupees or less than poverty level, who earns less than, almost $2 a day. So that's a major area that government and insurance companies both put together need to look at it.
I think it's the conversation or the idea between the government, the regulatory, as well as the private sector need to come together to understand this.
At the same time, how can we at least to set aside 100, 200 rupees? how can you set aside or how can you convince that group?
Yeah.
Because for them that 100 rupees
Makes a big deal.
makes a big deal,
Massive deal.
right? That 100 rupees is maybe about sometimes maybe about couple of 10% of the 5% of the earnings on a day.
Yeah.
So these are the challenges that we have, and there is no shortcut rather than creating that awareness, rather than demonstrating that need and reaching out with a robust mechanism of
Model, yeah.
reaching it to them.
I think the part of that you mentioned about the social security system in Sri Lanka itself evolving may address to a certain degree. I think it's an important point to ponder upon. Ravi, thank you about that. Your wisdom in terms of the insurance industry. I'm moving to something on the professional level because I also happen to mention that I had the privilege of working with you and learning the ABC of marketing and learning tricks of the trade on that. Now, this is a conversation you and I had long time ago also. Marketing representation at board level is very, very limited, and you are one of the exceptions I've seen. Very few. You can count the marketers in the board level, CEO or chairman, etc. Now, as an experienced marketer and also somebody who lectures marketing, why is marketing not represented enough in the board level?
You're putting me on the spot now, and how do I say? It's a very broad discussion. However, I'll try and minimize a meaningful conversation. See, I start with to me, marketing leads organizations. When I say marketing leads organization, marketing is looking at top line. How do you grow top line in particular? But at the same time, without growing top line, you can't achieve bottom line.
Yeah.
And marketing is very futuristic thinking. And today's boardroom is well represented by finance discipline and finance professionals. And finance professionals, I would say I have many financial professionals. I might, shall I say, antagonize their thinking. So I'm saying finance is looking at historic data. However, those historic data, in particular P&L and balance sheet and maybe cash flow, is needed because without cash flow, even if you do well, you cannot run an organization.
Absolutely.
So now, the failure of marketers entering there is, I see, basically with the curriculum of marketing and as well as the infrastructure of marketing in Sri Lanka to support the growth of marketers in the country. So when I say infrastructure of marketing, so the biggest marketing profession or qualification sought after in marketing is CIM, CIM UK, right? So I think, see, if you look at the two most, shall I say, professional bodies in professional education in the country, other than universities, the private professional bodies is SEMA and marketing. I think SEMA has got their act together to develop a business manager.
Absolutely.
Business manager. And I think marketing has to transform to produce a business manager who can understand not only the marketing or not only the marketing aspect of it, managing the transaction process between the organization and the buyer, but also to look at how do you record it. And how do you record it? By recording it, how do you make inferences from that recording, which is the financial aspect of it. I must accept the fact that the qualification itself lacking. Next is what is the biggest local body in Sri Lanka, and this is also a controversial thing, which is SLIM. And you have been part of SLIM as well, right? And you seated at the, shall I say, apex of SLIM. I have seen even in Sri Lanka, even SLIM has not looked at that aspect of, shall I say, well-rounded qualification for a marketer. So this area is lacking. However, I would advise all marketing professionals or all marketing guys, marketing is the growth engine of an organization, and you have to be supplemented now
Absolutely.
by a finance attitude and finance qualification, or I would rather say finance skill, and then you drive organizations much better.
Absolutely. I think you answered a couple of my other sub questions also. The key takeout from that answer, Ravi, is to marketing needs to lead. I think you're no longer a service function that you don't just provide service, but you lead and you drive the growth. And then marketers should think beyond communication. It's just one aspect of marketing, and you need to look at the entire business as a business leader. So thank you for that wisdom, and I'm fully in agreement with what you said. And this is a message to the public also to see how the profession can be grown, and for the professional institutes also. Moving to the last part of our conversation, Ravi, I think this I wanted to actually mention. You're a very competitive sportsman. I'd rather play in your side versus against, because I've done that and I've learned my lesson. You're right now taking up golf very seriously. You used to play rugby and many other sports also, Ravi. So this corporate athleticism, I'm sure that we have spoken at many forums. How does it impact as a business leader? I think being competitive and
Yeah, see the athleticism. I took it. You said I took golf seriously. I took it golf seriously, but not anymore at the moment because the work priorities are much more greater. See, throughout my life, I've been doing some competitive sport. I can see from school to
you need to mercantile, yeah.
shall I say, then I played to CRNFC to, all of that.
And the mercantile as well. Fine.
But yeah, so I've been taking at much more higher level of sports. One thing that I would say that athleticism is
that
needed.
attitude and the mindset, yeah.
Mindset is needed
Yeah.
for an individual or the business leader is. When you are doing some competitive sports, you always have winning mindset. But winning mindset is not going to help you by having only winning mindset. But sometimes athletes are also trained, sportsmen and also trained to lose. So then what happens is losing also very important.
Yeah.
How to lose and how you handle that loss is very important. So what happens is in athleticism or in sports, you have the winning mindset, but you sometimes lose.
Yeah.
But if you do not know how to handle the loss, and if you can't bounce back from losing, then you are hitting a area of, shall I say, stagnation.
Yeah.
So that mindset, winning mindset, together with accepting the loss is important, because when you lose with winning mindset, your bounce back time is very fast.
Very fast, yeah.
Very fast. And losing, and if somebody is knocked down and you're on the ground, you're not a loser until you have a courage to stand again and fight and win.
Absolutely.
I have seen many situations in my life. We lose in matches, then we bounce back.
Yeah.
We lose in our ranking, then we bounce back. And that is the level of athleticism or the mindset or the attitude that you should have. Winning mindset, accepting the loss and bounce back with no time. The reaction speed, reaction time is much more greater, and reaction attitude is much more greater. So that is the need for a corporate leader.
Absolutely.
Because you cannot win every time, because you have many variables to handle.
Yeah.
Within the organization, many variables to handle.
External environment.
Politically, now we have a current crisis.
Yeah.
So therefore, that holds you back. That holds you back in your winning run and winning speed, but bounce it back.
Absolutely.
So that's the That's the athleticism somebody needs to
Absolutely.
have.
If I may add, Ravi, I mean, you can be prepared, you can train, you can go with a plan, but the context may change, with the competition may be changing, and that's how I can draw a parallel to the rugby field to the corporate situation. That's the attitude and the mental preparedness that you go with. And I'll probably leave a vacuum if I don't mention this. I don't know whether you do this anymore. Those days, I remember we had a mandatory day to play rugby with you on a weekday, but I don't know whether you continue that with your team.
See, I think this is something at this point in time lacking, and we need to find a way of again bringing these people on feet.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. I think it creates a lot of camaraderie, competitiveness, and the team cohesiveness as well.
correct.
Thank you,
Maybe
Ravi.
maybe I would also suggest that entire group will look at it.
Why
And,
not? Why not?
we need to be part of it.
Absolutely. So, Ravi, thank you very much. Without our knowledge, the time has passed, and I managed to squeeze in 3 areas I wanted to discuss, and in each area had multiple questions. But I think for the benefit of our followers, we covered a larger part of it. Thank you very much for taking time off. I know it has been a, couple of months we're trying to get an appointment with you, but thank you very much for making it to our podcast, and I wish you all the very best with the insurance team and the entire professional and your life as well, Ravi. Thank you.
Thank you, Gamika, and pleasure being with this podcast. And again, my apologies of.
No problem at all. On a personal note, thank you very much for the early days in my career, teaching us the tricks of the trade. I would term it as that way. So thank you for for that encouragement and the guidance, Ravi.
To you as well.
Thank you, Ravi. Well, folks, that comes to an end of a very interesting conversation. I covered 3 areas: insurance, specifically life insurance, and insurance as a whole, what it means to the society, where is Sri Lanka, what future holds for us. We also dived into an area of professionalism, being marketers, why is marketer not represented adequately in the board level, and Ravi gave a very, very interesting perspective for all future marketers and the current marketers to follow and understand, and also for the education of the professional bodies as well. Finally, we covered the sports impact on corporate leadership, the corporate athleticism. How do you bring that winning attitude, not only the winning attitude, but in terms of taking the loss and bouncing back. On a concluding note, insurance industry, as we all understand, it's a noble profession. It's something that Sri Lanka is building up, and in terms of the definition, Ravi gave an excellent perspective of looking at the penetration level. Yes, I completely agree. It's not about the penetration alongside the population, but in terms of GDP per capita and the correlation to the penetration level as well. So Sri Lanka is poised at a good level. As per Ravi, policy-wise, regulatory-wise, I think we are moving in the right direction. We will see the growth in the industry happening, and also the perspective of looking at the future generation, the Gen Zs, how they perceive insurance and sustainability, all that coming into perspective. So I'm sure you enjoyed this episode of JXG Spotlight. Until I see you again, signing off, Gamika De Silva.